Is the Canon M50 actually the best vlogging camera? First, before we do anything though, I need coffee, so yeah.
Okay, grab it. I'll grab it.
So, I got my coffee, and I really wanted to try and do the stereotypical walk and blog on a gorilla pod kind of stand thing, because that's what this camera is for. But as you can kind of see, it's, it kind of just turned into like a monsoon outside. And this isn't my camera, so I really don't want to get it wet and potentially ruin it, so I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to still be doing. What's up? So, I've been trying to film this video for like 2 days now. The little part where I was getting coffee, that was 2 days ago. It didn't stop raining. The next day, rained all day, which was yesterday. And me and a friend went out and figured, okay, he'll hold the camera, will be my car, and I'll just kind of do like in a different environment, like almost like a car vlog, but about the camera. And one of the lights we had set up in my car fell down halfway through, we didn't realize it, and it cast this really weird shadow on my face. Didn't work. Today I woke up and there's a little window where there was no rain, so I figured, awesome, I'll get to go out and actually do it how I wanted to, you know, typical vlog style, have the camera up like this, that way get an accurate depiction of it. I'll put a little clip in here to show you. That's not a complete killer, there's something else I'll get to a little bit about that. So, it was so windy, you can't hear anything, and now it's raining again as well. So I figured, you know, I'll just do it this way. I did borrow this camera. Funny little story about the camera actually. This used to be mine. I bought this about 5-6 months ago. Then over the holidays when Sony dropped the prices on their A7s, I bought that, and I didn't feel I needed this one anymore, so I gave it to somebody that wanted it. And then when I started making these videos, I called them up and said, hey, can I borrow my old Canon for a few days? So I want to make this video quick and get the camera back to them. It's not my camera anymore, so I want to get it back to them. So yeah, here I am. Anyways, the Canon M50, it's an amazing camera. It really is a good camera. I have actually wrote them down in case I forgot them, because I don't have that great of memory. But I had some points I wanted to go over on it. I had some negatives that I wanted to say first. There's not a lot of negatives. And then I had quite a big, long list of positives about this camera. So let's start. First off, cropped sensor. It does have an APS-C sensor on it, so it is cropped. What that means is basically whatever lens you put on the camera, you have to times it by 1.6. So there's a 22mm lens that's on here right now. You times that by 1.6, that equals 35mm. So it'd be the equivalent of having a 35mm lens on your camera right now. No, I'm not that smart. I had to use a calculator to do that math, but it's just something to take into consideration. Everything is going to be, for lack of a better term, zoomed in a little bit compared to what a normal lens of this focal length on a camera would be. Another thing, Canon currently doesn't have a very big lineup of lenses for the mirrorless line. I think for this camera right now, there's only something like 6 or 8 different lenses that you can get for it. But there's a point that I'll get back to a little bit later about that. But currently the mirrorless lenses for Canon, they don't have a whole lot. This camera is kind of limited on the lenses you can get on it right now. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. Another thing is, so if you want to actually not vlog but do some filmmaking with this and you want to do something in slow motion, you can do 120 frames per second on this camera, but it's only in 720. And nobody really films in 720 anymore. The quality is just not that good. So your 120 frames per second is kind of useless. I mean, you're not going to want to film a video in 4K or 1080 and then you have a really cool cinematic, romantic looking 120 frames per second downgraded to 720. Kind of defeats the whole purpose. So the 120 frames per second is kind of useless. You do, however, have 1080, 60 frames per second, so you still got good slow motion. I have 60 frames per second on my Sony A7, and it looks good. And the slow motion on this looks good too. So 120 is useless, but you still got 60. So keep that in mind. Another thing is, actually this is the last negative on the camera that I can think of personally. 4K. It's not that good on this camera. So it crops in significantly more when you do 4K. I'll film a little part right now and then I'll put it over this just that way you can see. And we're at 4K. So look at how cropped in it is. I'm sitting in the exact same place. You can't see the top of my head anymore. You can't see the top of the painting. You can't see any of this. It's so cropped in. Now the picture quality is super clear. It's really good. But it's really, really cropped, which makes it kind of not so useful. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but the autofocus on 4K, it's not nearly as good. It's not nearly as quick or as clear in the 4K. I'm not sure what autofocus system they are using for the 4K system, but it's not as good. So yeah, you do have a 4K capable camera for an affordable price, but I can see it having issues detecting me. So yeah, you do have a 4K capable camera for an affordable price, but are you going to be using the 4K? So it's kind of, I wouldn't even consider it a 4K camera almost. But yeah. And as you can tell, it's just not that good. It's really not that good, so your 4K is kind of useless on here. But that's really the only negative that I can think of. Positives. There's a lot of positives on this camera. So let's start. Small size. It's a small camera. You take the lens off, you can almost put this in your back pocket. It's awesome. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I'll show you real quick. Small little camera bag that I have this one in. I have an extra lens in here. I have chargers. I put my iPad in here. I put all kinds of other stuff, camera stuff and non-camera stuff. All fits in this bag. And if you don't want to even put it in the bag, you just want to have just the camera by itself, there's so much options. It's so tiny and it doesn't weigh anything. So if you do have it on the stereotypical gorilla pod holding it out like this, your arm's not going to go tired. It's small, put it anywhere, it doesn't weigh anything. It's just a really, really good option in that sense. For the vlogging kind of vibe, you don't have to be carrying a big 5-pound camera around, which is just a really nice, convenient option. Dual pixel autofocus. So it is only in 1080, you don't have it on 4K, which is another one of the negatives on 4K on this camera. But the dual pixel autofocus on the camera, this is one of the best autofocus systems that I've ever seen on a camera. To give you an idea real quick, so I have my f/stop at 2.0, so there should be quite a bit depth of field on here, and I have it that way specifically for a reason. So I'm going to get really close to the camera and you can see how quick it catches on. It just catches on awesome. It's really quick. If I move over, catches. Move over, catches. Wherever I go, it just catches really good. Honestly, my Sony doesn't have nearly as good of an autofocus as this. And this is a fraction of the cost. And the autofocus system on here it's amazing. It's just really, really good. So honestly, you're doing vlogging, you don't have to worry about, am I in focus? This camera, you don't even have to worry about it. You do have the screen though, which brings me to my next point. So if you do want to worry about your autofocus, or you just want to see what you look like or whatever, you have the swivel screen. Pops right out, which I don't know why Sony's not doing that. Sony's kind of killing it. They're the king of the mirrorless world right now, and they don't have a swivel screen. This has a swivel screen, and it's a fraction of the cost on the camera. So basically, you can just pull the screen right out. I'm looking at the camera right now, I don't have any other setup, and I can see exactly what else in frame. I can see that the edge is going to be about right here. I see that the painting goes about right here. I can see everything. I can see that I got light coming from over here. I can see that I'm in focus. It's just so convenient that you can see what you're doing. And then on top of that, if you say you need to film something over a ledge and you can't, for whatever reason, you can't be over that ledge, you can put your camera out over it and you can angle the screen back at you so you can still see what actually you have in frame. So useful. The swivel screen's amazing. And then also when you're done using it and you don't want to worry about scratching your screen, you can swivel it around and put it into the camera so the back of the screen is out, so your screen's protected. It's just super useful. It's awesome. Little note on the swivel screen though, the joint that holds it to the body, it feels a little like I could break it without much effort. So I would just note, be a little careful with it. Maybe that's something that on future indentations of this camera, it might be a little bit better. But we'll see. It's not awful. It's not like it's gonna snap by itself. It's just I feel like I could break it a little easier than maybe I should. But whatever. It's still a great option. Another really good thing about this camera is what I was mentioning about the lenses. So currently you don't have a lot of lenses on here. However, Canon has a $150 adapter that basically now gives you access to all of your DSLR Canon lenses. So you have a DSLR Canon already, you're thinking about buying this camera, but you don't want to have to go buy a bunch of lenses already. Well, you buy that adapter, 150 bucks, which is really not that bad for an adapter, and now you have access to all your lenses. Everything that you already own, it's all right there. Now it is going to be cropping in a little bit more because the adapter adds a little bit of length to it. I don't know exactly what that is. I tried doing some research online and I couldn't quite figure it out. I'm sure it's there and I just was missing it, but so just keep it in mind. You are going to be adding a little bit more crop to it, but it's not drastic. You still have access now to all your old Canon lenses, all the DSLR ones at least. So it's just a really good option. Another really good thing about this camera, 24.1 megapixels. So my Sony is 24.3. This is really close to that. Now granted, it's a different camera, different purpose, but for being a vlogging camera, that's really good. You want to use it for photos or some light filmmaking, whatever, you can. The quality of the pictures, I'll overlay some pictures that I took when this was my camera. The quality of the pictures is really good. It's really sharp. I'm surprised at how sharp it is. I'm not sure all the technical side of the camera, what they've done inside the actual camera itself to make it so sharp, but the picture quality is really clear. It's really clean. It's surprisingly good considering how affordable this camera is. Which brings me to another point. The camera is not that much money. When I bought it 5-6 months ago, I think it was $800 or $900. I forget exactly. And they lowered the price during the holidays. It was even cheaper, but after the holidays, it's no longer on sale. But the new price is only $650, and you can find some used ones for going for about $500 now. Which for $500 or for $650 for a new one, that's a killer deal. You have the swivel LCD screen, you have a 4K capable camera. Now granted, it is limited in 4K, but still. Swivel LCD screen, 4K capable. It's really useful in every way. For that price, it's hard to beat it. Honestly, I love Sony. I love my Sony, but I think in like the A6000 to A6500, personally, I think this camera is significantly better, and it's also significantly cheaper. So it's hard for me to justify spending $1,000 for an A6500 when I could go buy this for $650. It's just, and the A6500 doesn't have the swivel LCD screen. Something else to keep in mind. I'm not going to let go of that swivel LCD screen. It's just an amazing option to have on it. So honestly, if you're thinking about picking up one of these cameras, I would definitely say go for it. They're a great option. They're very affordable, very useful, very user-friendly, and just all around just a great camera. And look at the picture quality, it looks great. The autofocus, super good, super quick, clear autofocus, and it's just a great camera. So if you're thinking about getting one, yeah, I'd definitely get it.